Hi, this is Tom Jacobs. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, psychic medium, and channel. Find me on the web at TomJacobs.com. Today's video is about being multidimensional beings. Specifically that if you've read the channeling books that I've published, or you've listened to the MP3s or seen these videos on the Mayan calendar videos 1 through 8 on this YouTube channel, you have heard me talk about how we're multidimensional beings. And I want to talk about today about a specific part of that. And it has to do with integrating past lives. Now, I spoke in one of the earlier Mayan calendar videos about my own process of integrating a past life part of me that contains grief. Well, today I want to talk a little bit more about this in general terms, and then also contrast it with soul retrieval that comes to us through basically every shamanic tradition, and how what I've learned from Jehudi about integrating past life parts contrasts with that, how it's similar, how it's different. First of all, we're multidimensional beings. Well, we are portions of divine intelligence, portions of the divine consciousness, and those portions each are a soul. Each of those portions is a soul. Mercury's stationing on my Neptune, which is already okay. Each of those portions is a soul, and each of us has a soul attached to our lives. So basically, our consciousness exists across time. Now, the whole deal with the end of the Mayan calendar, which actually happened on October 28th of this year, is that the veils between dimensions dissolve. And what that means is that, on the practical side, is that our access to past lives is no longer partitioned. The partitions within our own consciousness, as far as this life versus the whole of our many lives, all these barriers are gone. What it means is that some feeling that you have carried, in fact, relates to another life, and now it is possible for you to integrate that past life now by healing the emotion, healing the part of you that carries this intense emotion. For some people now, this means being consumed by some emotion that used to be somewhat present or resurfacing now and now you're being consumed by it. Or it takes up weeks of your life trying to figure out how to deal with this emotion. And because it relates to a past life part, and now we can actually access this and work with this consciously, Jehudi has shown me different ways of integrating this. So I do this all the time in my work. For example, a client calls me and says, this is an issue I'm having in a relationship of mine. And I say, well, there is a part of you that's withholding his or her participation because of a wounding from a past life. And I say, would you like to integrate this part? Would you like to come closer to this part and bring it back? And the person always says yes, because of course they want to heal. And so what we do is we isolate that part using the feeling that the client has as a doorway. What does that feeling say? What does that, put words to that feeling? Not just describe what it's like in your life, but put words to the feeling. And that past life part can come through directly. And sometimes it's on the phone with me, sometimes it's 20 minutes later, sometimes it's in dreams the next night, or the next day something clicks and the person says, I realized this different aspect of myself. I saw this part of me clearly and was able to interact with it. So this is extremely powerful work that is now enabled because the Mayan calendar is done. The process of the evolution of consciousness is complete. Go back and view Mayan calendar 1 through 8 on this channel and watch them in order to kind of see how this teaching has been unfolding. So how does this differ from soul retrieval that comes down to us through shamanic practices? And soul retrieval is when usually a trained intermediary, whom we will call a shaman or shaman, will journey in different worlds to find a part of you that has fragmented and left. When I started doing, really working intensively with Jehudi, basically in all my readings, I'm listening to the client as Jehudi. So I'm basically embodying his consciousness. And even when I'm not channeling directly for the client, which does happen quite a bit in readings, I am telling you how Jehudi sees things. So I'm trying to teach people how to develop his level of consciousness here and now, even if they don't hang out with him like I do all the time. So the way I'm doing this evolved through being taught how to teach people how to do soul retrieval themselves. So basically now there are two things that I do. Sometimes a client comes to me and says, this is my issue, and I discern that there's a part missing, and we go find it. But I teach the person how to retrieve this part. It's very important because it empowers people in an Aquarian age way to not just take responsibility for something, but actually to effectively create a healing scenario. And so I'm teaching people how to retrieve parts of themselves. And once you learn the process with any single part, you can apply it to any other part for the rest of your life. It's self-empowerment. It's Aquarian age thing that I'm doing. So that's one thing. So with the tradition of shamanism, you need somebody to travel for you. And the vibration that I carry allows me to help you connect directly with the part of you that needs to come back. That's the one thing. So an updated way of doing soul retrieval. Now, the reason that soul parts leave is that there's some kind of trauma. It can be sudden trauma, which is what we usually think of as trauma, or it can be slow, long-term pressure that is traumatic. Stress over the long term creates trauma, just like a sudden accident or an emotional blow creates trauma. So where have they gone? They're just out and about. I remember I did one of mine a few years ago, and this part of me was in Africa. It was kind of a funny story, and was in Africa camping, like basically living out in this shack, this makeshift shack, trying to not be seen because the pain he was carrying was so great. And it was actually a little kid part. I was about 8 years old, and so I was able to find that part using this method that Jehudi has taught me, and call the part back. So it can be kind of intense, but that part brings a part of your life force back with it. So that's one scenario. Part of you is missing. The other scenario is this past life stuff, which the emotion is present and the part is therefore present, but you're not sure what to do with it. That part is not sure how to integrate. You don't know how to take this energy and this emotion that this part carries into your heart and effectively heal it and deal with it. So you need basically an intermediary to create a bridge so that this part can speak to you. You can hear what it needs. You can get grounded and actually give that part what it needs. And again, that part carries a portion of your energy, a portion of your consciousness that has been blocked or withheld or kept out of the way. And what this actually looks like is some of these parts carry a vulnerability, and that's why they left, because something hurt too much. Well, that part would then carry softness and vulnerability as a plus. So if you retrieve that part, if you make a bridge and open up the door to heal that part, then you actually can be softer. In some other sense, or some other example, it could be a part of you that feels joy. You were suddenly deflated by some terrible news or some terrible situation that unfolded in your world, and a part left. I can't deal with this pain, the part of you that carries joy. So calling back that part is you'll be able to be more playful. And the series of retrievals and reintegrations and past life healings I've done on myself over the last few years has resulted in that. So now I just turned 39, and I am happier now than I ever was as a child. I hit 7 or 8 years old and I became kind of depressed. When I was 30, I started getting rid of that, and now, almost a decade later, I've done some retrieval and reintegration on parts of me that can carry joy and that are actually happy to be alive and not just swimming in some kind of depression or pain or sadness or suffering. So they bring qualities back that you actually need. So this is an incredibly important thing to do. So I encourage you to give me a call for a reading if you need some support. You either know something's missing, or you're lacking. You're lacking a quality of feeling, or joy, or happiness, or softness, tenderness, vulnerability, or the willingness to trust somebody. This is a big one right now because we need each other, but we've all been hurt when it comes to trust. Or you sense that there is some emotion that's welling up that you're not sure how to deal with, and you suspect because of its persistent calling you and nudging you and poking you and weighing you down, that it might be a multi-life issue, it might be a past life issue. Give me a call. I'm happy to support you in being a multidimensional being in healthy ways. So thanks for watching. My name is Tom Jacobs, and find me on the web at tdjacobs.com.